Tape 3W suivi d'école au Sénégal.com. À école au Sénégal, c'est facile, tu n'as qu'à te connecter. Tape école au Sénégal.
Great. We are back on with adverbs. Adverbs. So what are adverbs? So it's a word that is actually added to a verb, and of course we know that a verb is an action. It's a word that is basically for actions, like eat, drink, work, whatever it is that makes action is a verb. And so an adverb often, always, it's a word that is added to the adverb. You know, it's added to a verb, I'm sorry. And adverbs oftentimes spice up an adjective. It's ordered to beautify or to explain further an adjective. So that is an adverb. And oftentimes the general rule about adverb is we add an ly. That's an adverb. You're adding ly. Oftentimes that's the general rule to the verb. At the end of a verb, at the end of it, you add an adverb. For example, or a noun, end of a verb or end of a noun, you can add an ly. For example, beautiful. For example, beautiful becomes beautifully. Beautifully. You know, hard becomes hardly. Hardly. See, there's an ly at the end of it. So oftentimes with adverbs there's an ly added to it, you know. And with adverbs, sometimes you see them at the beginning of a sentence or almost at the end of a sentence. You see an adverb, depending on what kind of adverb they are. And so we're going to look at them. We're going to see some examples. We're going to use the examples so that you can be able to identify them and it'll be easy for you to recognize them. So, but like I said, the normal rule is ly. You add it at the end of an adjective. You know, because like I said, an adverb beautifies or amplifies an adjective. An adjective, of course, describes something. It describes you're beautiful, you're ugly, you're tall, you're fat, you're fast, you're quick. So oftentimes, ly is added to it. But nevertheless, is it only ly? No. And so we're going to look at some of the rules on how you can identify an adverb. How do you know it's an adverb? So firstly, I have a board that you can see here that actually simplifies it for you. And adverbs is grouped into 5. There are 5 groups, 5 main groups of an adverb. There are actually 5 main groups of an adverb. We have the adverb of manner, the adverb of degree, the adverb of frequency, the adverb of place, and the adverb of time. Okay, and so so you know which one, if you identify, if you see it in a sentence or in a paragraph, you should be able to identify what type of adverb is it in a sentence. Okay, and so the first one, we're going to start from my left. I'm going to start off with manner. Manner talks, it answers, these here are the questions, okay? Right here are the questions to be asked. They're the questions, okay, that you ask in order to get these answers. And so manner talks about how, it answers the question to how is it? How is that person, or how is a thing? So it answers how. Oh, how, and we have some of them, the ly. You see the ly's at the bottom? Yeah, the ly's, the lee. You see the lees at the bottom, lee. And this is quite different, okay? It's one of those irregular manner words. And so you have happily. You see how they spell the happily? The Y is out and then you put the I. And then you have beautifully, patiently, respectfully, quickly, well, neatly. I mean, they're all sorts of, you know, boldly. And so it answers to the question of how is it? How did it occur? How did it end? You know, the wedding ended beautifully. So how did it end? It ended beautifully. You know, she writes neatly. So how does she write? Oh, she writes neatly. So it answers the question to how. How is it? It could be how is it going to be, or is it how did it end? So the how could be a question that you ask either at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. So if you put yourself and you're thinking, okay, so how was it? How did it go? How should it be? It should be written plainly. How? How did it go? Oh, the groom patiently waited. And so it answers the question of how, and that is as far as the manner is concerned, the way things went or the way things should go. That's the manner in which things should appear, the manner in which things appeared or should be presented or is presented. It comes with manner, how. And then we have degree. The next column is a degree. Degree means to what extent. That's the degree. To what extent? It's the degree. It's not the degree about whether or whatever it is. But degree means to what extent. How much of it do you want? How much of it do you prefer? How much of it did you want? Okay, and so degree means to what extent are you expecting, or are you wanting, or are you eager about it? Almost. I barely went to I barely watched the movie. So to what extent did you watch the movie? Oh, I barely watched it. Then I fell asleep. Okay, and then of course you see some of them have the lead in it. Simply, you know, how well would you want the work done? Or simply, just simply do it. It's as simple as possible. So it talks about to what extent, how far, how would you like it? You know, it's the degree. So if it answers the question of how much, of to what extent, and then you bring some of the examples, almost, barely, hardly, fairly, it was fairly done. I wasn't really happy with my assistant's work. Oh yeah, to what extent? Or it was just fairly done. So I wasn't happy with it, okay? And so simply, somewhat means that to an extent, you know, it's in the middle. You know, it's not really there yet, but you're okay with the situation. That's what somewhat means. And then to, of course, we know to means as well. That would double O, it means as well. Very, nearly, and then there's another to as well. Maybe I should wipe off this one. And then completely. So I completely want it. All of it. So this answers, the degree talks about to what extent. And so if you can answer the question to how much of it, how further you want it, how well you want it, it gives you some of these answers that you can use, you know, and you can use some of this as example.